Okay, so we are already starting recording. So let's start with our topic for today. So today we'll learn about speed. Okay, last week we learned or we reviewed about distance and displacement, and those topics are actually a part of what we will be learning for this week tsaka next week. So continuation yon, because for speed, we will use what we learned about distance in order to find out how much speed or how fast an object is moving. And then for next week, we will talk about velocity. And for velocity, we will use the value of displacement. So the reason why we learned distance and displacement first is because yung application niya is more of in the computation of speed and velocity. Okay, so for today, this is our essential questions or the things that we should be learning for today. Number one, what is speed? By definition in physics, what is speed? And then, of course, how do we come up or how do we compute for the value of speed? Okay? So, ayan. Let's continue. So, by definition, sabi niya dito, speed is a scalar quantity. So, similar to distance, speed is also a scalar quantity, which means that for a scalar quantity, what we need is the value or the distance, including the unit. Okay? And for speed, our unit is still meter per second. And later on, we will explain kung bakit ang unit niya ay meter per second. So because speed is a scalar quantity, therefore we do not need the direction in which the object is moving. Okay? Kasi ang direction at saka yung unit, yung value, yung unit at saka yung direction is for vector quantities. So next week, yung velocity is a vector quantity. But for this week, our focus is all about speed, which is a scalar quantity. So later on, when we start computing, again, yung inyong mga answers, please make sure that you include the unit. Okay? The unit for your answers. Wag yung numbers lang. Kasi, anong tawag dito? Hindi siya considered as a scalar quantity kapag number lang ang isinulat ninyo. Okay? So, additional information about speed is that it tells us how fast an object is moving. And the idea of fast in physics is that we are covering a lot of distance in the shortest amount of time. Okay? That's why here, it says here that speed is the rate at which an object covers a distance. So we are not talking only about time. Hindi lang ang pinag-uusapan is pinaka-konting oras. Ang pinag-uusapan natin when it comes to speed is that gaano kalayo yung narating niya sa konting oras. Okay? So if the distance is the same for two objects, the faster object is the one who can cover that distance in the shortest amount of time. Pero kung pareho yung time nila, there are two objects who has the same time, ang pinaka mabilis sa kanila will always be the one who can cover the most distance. So dalawang factor ang nag-i-influence when we are talking about speed. We are talking about the time, and of course, we are talking about the distance. Okay? Yung layo at saka yung oras. And that's how we measure speed. Okay? So please take note of this in your notebook. The equation that we use to compute for the speed is equivalent to the distance traveled, which is always in meters, and then the amount of time it took to reach that location, which is always in which is always in seconds. Okay, so let me write this down. So sabi niya, the distance traveled is in terms of meters, and then it's always in terms of seconds. So ang unit ng distance natin, like we learned last week, is in meters. And then the unit for time is in terms of seconds. Okay? That's why the unit for speed is meter per second. Okay? I want to take this time to emphasize that the unit for time is always in terms of seconds. So if you encounter a problem wherein the time is given in terms of minutes, okay, you have to convert this. Yes, you have to convert this first into seconds. And how do we convert that? You have to remember that 1 minute is always equivalent to 60 seconds. So kung ang given ay 1 minute, then that's equivalent to 60 seconds. If given ay 2 minutes, then automatic yon, it's 120 seconds. So take note of that ha. You need to make sure that everything is in the correct unit. So when it comes to distance, very common naman that it's already given in meters, pero minsan may nagbibigay ng kilometers. So again, you have to convert it back to meters first. And then yung seconds natin, ito yung very common. Mostly may nagbibigay talaga ng minutes. So please do not forget to convert time from minute to seconds first. Okay? So far, do we have questions? Ayan, nadagdagan na. Gian was able to join.
Teacher, hindi pa yung naabot ng 1 hour.
Alin po?
Yung equation, naabot ng 1 hour yan, Teacher?
It depends po because there are some, for example, if you're going to travel from Olongapo to Manila, syempre you do not expect to reach the destination in just minutes. If you're using car, it might take 2 to 3 hours depending on traffic. So, pwede siyang mag-reach ng hour. Although the problems that I
Airplane.
although the problems that I will be giving today, basically, hindi naman siya ganun kalayo. Okay? We are still in that situation nung community natin last week. Yung nalalakad lang, or you can use a bus to go from one place to another. So I think in the problems that you will encounter today, limited siya in terms of minutes pa lang. Pero do not be shocked, or kung ang tanong ninyo is, anong tawag dito, pwede bang magkaroon ng given na in terms of hours, then yes po. It's allowed, and there is really a possibility if we're being realistic in terms of distance. Yun lang siguro, kung maliit lang yung distance, tapos hours yung, anong tawag dito, yung ating time, medyo hindi naman siya.
Teacher, pag traffic.
Pag traffic, then yes. Okay, and it really happens. We usually experience something like that naman. So, mabagal talaga ang movement kasi nga, there is traffic. Okay? So, ayan, let's continue. Yes, it's possible po that you will encounter given in terms of hours. In that case, you again have to convert the hours into minutes, and then convert the minutes into seconds. Even when you reach grade 8, pag nag-compute ng power, which is meron uling time, yes po, may mga given na in terms of hours. Okay? So, is there any other concerns or questions before I move on to the next slide? Or we're good to go na? Paraise ako ng mga kamay if okay na tayo. Ayan. Okay na daw si Reynald, si Ayana.
Sir, how do you convert minutes to seconds again?
How do we convert minutes to seconds? We multiply by 60. So, if ang given natin ay 4 minutes, so 4 multiplied by 60, then we have 480. Tama ba? 480 seconds. Kasi ang ating, ang tawag dito, ratio is 1 minute is always equivalent to 60 seconds. Okay? Sige nga, let's have a couple of exercises for converting time before we move on to the next slide. Please convert 3.5 minutes into seconds.
150. Teacher, 150 seconds.
Are you sure?
Ah!
Isn't it 210?
Kasi 60 seconds ang 1 minute. Kung 150 ka lang, kulang. What's the answer?
210.
Thank you very much. Who answered that?
Me.
210.
It's 210 seconds. Let's have another activity. This time I will be opening the chat box. Okay, so that you can type in, or some of you can type in your answers in the chat box. Let's convert 7.3 minutes. What is the equivalent in terms of seconds?
7.3?
Yes.
Teacher, pwede gumamit ng calculator.
Yes po, you can use your calculators. Okay, so may mga nagsagot na.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure, 438 seconds.
Yes po, 438 seconds. So you just multiply it by 60. Okay? So ayan, let's continue with our next slide. Ito ay conversion pa lang ng time. So let's continue with our next slide. This is just a sample exercise on speed. And the given is Cassie walked to her friend's house with an average speed of 1.40 meter per second. The distance between the houses is 205 meters. How long did the trip take her? So before we start answering, okay, I will be showing you this triangle, and this is something that you can use until you reach grade 8. Okay. In this idea of the triangle, this is our speed, and our speed is equivalent to distance divided by time. Okay, so we are going to substitute this triangle to our given. In this case, okay, ang given natin is yung speed, which is 1.40 meter per second. And then, ang given niya is distance, which is 205 meters. So, in order for us to tell the time, we are going to divide speed with distance. Okay, so pwedeng pagbalik-balik ta rin yan. Speed, sorry, nawala ang aking, wait lang, nawala yung aking ball pen. Okay. So, using this idea of a triangle, yung speed is equivalent to distance divided by time. Tama ba ako? Yes. So, if we're going to find time, we are going to divide speed with distance. And if we're going to find the distance, then we are going to divide speed with time. Nakakasunod pa po ba, grade 7? Okay, so if we are going to apply this idea with this triangle, so ang given niya ay 140, not 140, 1.40 meter per second. And then we are going to divide that with the distance, which is 205 meters. Okay, sige, let's give it the long way out. Let's erase this. Wait lang ah. Hirap pala mag-erase dito, no? Hindi siya katulad ng annotate, mas mabilis. Anyway, we will get used to this Google Meet sooner or later. Okay. So, this is 1.40 meter per second is equivalent to distance, which is 205 meters, divided by time. Time yung nawawala sa atin. So in order for us to do that, time, cancel, time. So 1.40 meter per second is equivalent to 205 meters divided by 140 meters per second, 1.40 meter per second. So time is equivalent to, paki-compute with your calculator.
146.42 seconds.
So what's the answer? It's letter
A.
A.
A. So let's try another one. This one is a bit easier kasi ito gawa ko na to. So in this example, it says here, we are talking about the person Edmond. Bigyan ko na kayo ng clue ha. Take note ninyo sa notebook ninyo yung distance at saka yung magiging speed ni Edmond kasi later on we are going to compute for the total distance at saka yung average speed ni Edmond. Okay? So in the first situation, it says here that Edmond's house is 3.5 miles away from the school. If he leaves his house at 7:30 in the morning and arrives at school at exactly 8 in the morning, what is Edmond's speed? So this time, let's identify first our given. Of course, given ang ating distance, which is 3.5 meters. And then given din ang ating time, which is 30 minutes. Kasi from 7:30 na umalis siya, he arrives at the school at 8 o'clock. So yung time lapse is around 30 minutes. Again, you just have to convert 30 minutes into seconds. And then let's apply this to our equation. Our equation is speed is equivalent to distance divided by time. So if we're going to substitute that, it's 3.5 meters divided by 30 minutes. So 30 minutes multiplied by 60 so that we can come up with our value in seconds. What's the value in seconds? Ano ang value ng seconds natin?
1,800 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. So 1,800 seconds. So now to come up with the speed, we divide 3.5 meters divided by 1,800 seconds. What's the final answer?
$514 seconds.
Saan?
Ay, ano ba siya?
3.5 meters divided by 1,800 seconds. Answers?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. 0.19.
0.19 or 0.0019?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
0.0019.
Okay. So don't forget ha 0.0019. And what's the unit?
Meters. Ata.
Meters?
Per hour.
Per
second. Per
Okay.
second.
So it took Edmond a speed of 0.0019 meter per second to reach the school. So mabilis lang kasi malapit lang yung anong tawag dito? Actually medyo mabagal siya kasi malapit lang naman yung school pero it took him 30 minutes in order to reach the destination. So mabagal maglakad si Edmond. Okay, 0.0019 meters per second. Okay? So dumadami tayo, nadagdag na si Danstan. Congratulations. At naka-join na rin sa wakas. Okay? May question po ba with our first problem? Okay ba tayo when it comes to finding the speed? Okay, so may nag-chat.
Opo, Chair.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much. So now let's continue to the next slide. This one is basically the same as the first one. Edmund leaves the school at 5 in the afternoon, which is probably the time his classes ended. And after leaving the school, he goes to a local bookshop, which is around 5 meters away from the school. If he arrives at the bookshop at 5:45, what is his speed? Okay, so let's
Bakit
start.
parang bagal niya, sir?
Naglalakad lang kasi siya, kuya. And after school naman, so alam mo yon, hindi naman siya nagmamadali to reach his destination. He just wants to enjoy his walk. So ang distance natin is around 5 meters away. And ang ating time is around, if he left at 5 o'clock and he arrived there at 5:45, so it took him 45 minutes to reach the local bookshop. So ang time lapse natin is around 45 minutes. Then of course, our equation is still the same. Speed is equivalent to distance divided by the time it took for Edmund to arrive at his destination. So let's try to apply that into our equation. We have 5 meters divided by 45 minutes. Let's convert 45 minutes into seconds. Multiply it by 60. So we have 5 meters divided by
2,700.
2,700 what?
Seconds!
Seconds. Okay, so now let's divide 5 meters divided by 2,700 seconds. We come up with
Sir,
0.0008.
0.00.
1-8.
0.0018.
0.0018.
And what's the
18.
unit?
Miles per second.
Seconds. Miles per second.
Second.
Meters per second. Meters per second.
Meters per second.
Teacher, pwede siya maging 19.
Yes
Kasi yung
po.
katabi niya, sir.
Yes po.
When
0.00
rounded off.
or 0.0019 meter per second. So basically, similar, very close doon sa speed niya when he was walking from home going to the school. Okay? So, taas po ng kamay. Sino ang nakakuha ng tamang sagot natin? Si Dante, si Jared, si Reynald, okay, si Kadesh. How about the other students in the meeting room?
Nice one,
Ayana.
Reynald.
Ayana, okay ba tayo? Okay, sige. So, okay tayo kay Ayana. Okay, so let's continue with the story of Edmund. So it says here, Edmund stayed in the local bookstore for 30 minutes. So he was browsing the books and the comics available in the local bookstore. And then after 30 minutes of browsing, he went back home. Okay? But this time, his speed going back home is 0.12 meters per second. So basically, mas mabilis dun sa kanyang earlier speed. And he
Napagalitan na siya ni Mama, sir.
siguro gabi na, papagalitan na siya ng magulang niya. So he arrived 7 minutes after he left the bookshop. So mas mabilis nga yung kanyang time it took. But this time, we are going to look for the distance of Edmund. So ang given natin is the speed, which is 0.12 meters per second. And then given din yung time, which is around 7 minutes. So we are looking for the distance right now. So distance is missing. So if we're going to apply that, we have 0.12 meters per second is equivalent to distance yung nawawala natin. And it took him 7 minutes. 7 minutes, let's convert it first into seconds. So 0.12 meters per second is equivalent to Distance divided by what is the time in terms of seconds? Ano yung time natin?
420 seconds.
420 seconds. Thank you very much. And now we are going to multiply it here. Okay, we're going to multiply it with 420 seconds. The same here on this side. Ayaw na niya magsulat. Sulat ko na lang dito sa mahaba. Ulit. 0.12 is equivalent to x, 420 seconds. So we are going to multiply both sides by 420 seconds. 420 seconds so that we can cancel this one. So we have x is equivalent to 0.12 divided by 420 seconds. So now what is our distance? Ang liit no? What's the answer?
Sir,
0.00028.
0.029. 0.00029. I just round it
Is
up.
equal to 58.33333. Tas infinite na. Meters seconds. Kung ano numbers
Wait lang. Backtrack tayo ng isang step kasi nag-divide tayo but actually it should be multiplied. Sorry. Yeah. When we canceled the 400, where's my pen? Yep. Okay, now I got it. So we have 420 seconds here. So this one was canceled. So this time we are going to multiply 420 with 0.12. Not divide. Kaya pala ang liit, sabi ko. Sorry. We're going to multiply both sides with 420 seconds. So 420 seconds multiplied by 0.12.
50.4.
Okay. So,
50.4.
where is my pen? Ayan.
50.4.
420 multiplied by 0.12. So now we have 50.4. And what's the unit?
Meters.
Meters.
Meter.
Okay?
Meters.
Ayan. Grade 7, don't forget your units ha. Sa exam at sa quizzes, answers without units will be considered as wrong. So, wag tayong sasagot ng numbers lang. If it's a scalar quantity, you need the unit. The same if it's a vector quantity, you need the unit. Okay? So now, the distance between Edmund's house and the local bookshop is around 50.4 meters. So medyo similar lang doon sa schedule, doon sa distance ng, anong tawag dito, ng bahay niya tsaka doon sa school. So magkakalapit lang siya. So now let's try to find what is Edmund's total distance if you have taken your notes. And of course, what is Edmund's average speed? Let's first start with the idea of total distance. Okay? So what's the total distance? To come up with that, we have to start with the distance from the house going to the school, and then from the school going to the bookshop, and then from the bookshop finally going back home. So what is the total distance of Edmond? Can anybody give me the distance from the house going to the school? Sino ang nakapag-take note?
Teacher, paano kapag miles? Iko-convert siya sa
Okay lang.
meters?
Yeah, okay lang yun. Ano lang ng sulat yun.
Meter yun, Chair?
Yes, meter. So it's 3 0.5 meters. And then the school going to the bookshop is how far?
5 meters.
5 meters. And then
First.
50.4 meters.
Meter.
What is the total distance covered by Edmond?
58.9 meters.
58.9 meter.
Or 59 meters.
Or 59 meters. Okay. Additional points. What is Edmond's displacement?
Oh.
Displacement.
Yes.
I say 0.
Why?
I say
Because he came back from
Bumalik
home.
siya, Chair.
he came
He
back
went-
from the start.
Thank you very much. Ibig sabihin, na-gets na yung idea of displacement. So, dahil yung kanyang initial location is just the same as his final destination, it means na walang difference. So, ang kanyang
Richard, di ba yung,
Zero.
yung displacement, yung gano'n lang kalayo yung yung destination sa,
initial location from the
ayan.
final location.
Umuwi siya.
Umuwi siya. So, the displacement is 0. Okay, so nagets na, ibig sabihin nagets yung idea of displacement. So, okay yan. Kasi next week, our topic is velocity. Ang gagamitin natin ay hindi distance, but it will be the value of the displacement. Okay, so now let's compute what is Edmond's average speed. So, yung first speed niya is 0.019 meter per second squared. Yung speed number 2 niya is 0.018 meter per second squared. And then yung kanyang third speed is
0.12.
0.12 meters per second squared. So if we want to look for the average distance, we are going to add the values for the first speed, the second speed, and the third speed, and then we are going to divide it by 3. Kasi tatlo yung values for speed niya. So what's the value for the average speed?
Sure.
Yes.
0.0437 meters per second. I think.
Any other answers? So first you have to add 0.0019. You have to add it with 0.018. And then you have to add it to the last value, which is 0.12. So what's the total?
Teacher, 0.1237.
Okay, and then let's divide it by 3. What's the final value?
0.041.
Meter per second. So the average speed is 0.041 meter per second. So medyo mabagal pa din kasi yung earlier na speed niya, yung dalawang naunang speed niya is very slow while he was walking. So kahit gaano kabilis yung speed niya dun sa pangatlo, because he was walking really slow during the first 2 times, then mababa pa rin yung kanyang average speed. Okay? Are we good? Grade 7?
Yes.
Intindihan? Okay. Sure yun na ha? So this time, I will be giving you a series of problems. Okay? And then I want you to compute for the final answer in your notebook. Okay? And then we will check after a given time. So now let's start with the second problem. This time, we go back to our community. If you will remember our Cartesian plane, nandyan ulit siya. Okay? So sabi niya dito, Kelly is in the park. And the park is located at +4 for the x value and +6 for the y value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the location of the park. And this is where Kelly and her friends are. Wait lang ha. Wait lang, magpapaquiz lang ako.
O nga pala, teacher, pag dalawang positive, teacher, di ba, dyan sa part?
In the first quadrant.
Teacher, sa first quadrant, kapag parehas. Tapos kapag negative, positive. Ito.
Okay. So, let's continue. Ayan, nakapagpaquiz na ako. So, ayan, Kelly is in the park and this is where the park is located. And Kelly is with her friends eating ice cream in the park. From the park, they walk 7 meters to the west. So from here, 7 meters to the west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. So this is the next location. And this is the local gift shop. And from the local gift shop, they bought a present for their friend. And it took them 3 minutes to go from this location, which is the park, going to the gift shop, which is this. So what is their speed? Okay, so I will give you 3 minutes to answer this problem. And your 3 minutes starts now. You may use your calculators. Yes, Leonard. You raised your hand, Leonard.
Okay,
Teacher, nagtataka talaga ako dun sa panghuli. Ang bilis siyang tumakbo, teacher. Nung
Baka
pauwi na. Yung 5 meters, teacher, 30 minutes naglakad. Tapos nung
malagpas
pauwi,
pauwi.
ang bilis niya, sir. Natakot sa mami. Babatay na siya, tsinelas. Naging 7 minutes.
Okay, let's try to answer less than 1 minute. Finalize your answers. And when I tell you to type your answers on the chat box, paki-type ha immediately para ma-check natin kung sino yung tamang sagot. I will be closing the chat box. So yung mga late magsisend, hindi makakapag send ng kanilang sagot. Okay, the chat box is open. Type your answers immediately. Again, type in your answers immediately. Pagka hindi nakaabot sa chat box, sayang yung inyong computation. Leonard already sent his answer. How about the other students? I'm waiting for yours. Kadesh also sent his.
Danstal, walang unit.
Danstan also sent.
Thank you, Dash. Thank you, thank you.
How about the other students? I'm still waiting for your answers. Okay na ba tayo? I can close now. Ayan.
Wait.
Tap.
Double
Si
check.
Gian na lang. I'm waiting for Gian. Si Gian. I'm waiting for Gian. Gian, last seconds before I close the chat box. Wala si Gian. Okay, sige. Let's try to answer our problem. Okay? So, ang given natin is the distance is around 7 meters. And then our time is 3 minutes, which is equivalent to 180 seconds. So now speed is 7 meters divided by 180 seconds. And our answer is 7 divided by 180 is 0.039 or 0.038 meters per second. So let's check who were able to get the final answers correctly. James Jared got it correctly. Kadesh de Guzman got it correctly. Ayana also got it correctly. Si
Yay.
Danstan also got it correctly. So si Reynald nagkulang ng 0.004 meters per second sa kanyang final answer. Okay? Let's continue with another problem. Okay? From the local gift shop, Kelly walked down 7 meters to reach her bus stop. Okay? So from the local gift shop, she went down 7 meters to reach her bus stop. And she walked 115 seconds from the gift shop to the bus stop. So now we are looking for Kelly's speed. Again, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to answer this problem. Okay? And then I will close the chat box. It's already closed. And later on, I will be opening it so that you can send your answers.
Hihit muna ako, Che.
Cheers, Yuri, naka-join!
Yay.
Better late than never. Welcome, Yuri.
Sir, na-access niya din yung ano niya, Gmail niya? Kasi napapasok mo siya eh.
Ang hindi lang naman pinapayagan kasi if outside ng kung ibang email yung ginamit. Pero kung automatic ang email ay yung sa school, automatic nakaka-join. Let's guys, let's finalize our answers before I will open the chat box so that you can type in your answers.
Good morning po, Chair.
Good morning, Yuri. Better late than never.
Chair, mas mahirap pala mag-join sa Meet pag starter pa lang ako dun, Chair. Hindi pa ako ganun magaling sa Meet, Chair. Zoom lang.
It's fine. Ibaon mo na sa limot ang Zoom because we will not be using Zoom anymore. We just have to practice using Google Meet.
Tsaka baka yung problem ni Gian kanina, wala siyang Google Meet. Kaya hindi nagre-redirect sa app.
Baka, pero in that case, all Gian needs to do is to open yung Chrome. Kasi ako din, I'm using Huawei. Wala rin akong Google Meet sa aking phone. Pero
Pero pwede na ba siya mag-download kapag Huawei?
ang alam ko, hindi. Hindi
May
siya.
beta, Chair, di ba?
Ay, pinag-aaralan na emotion ngayon, Chair.
Okay, so let's start. Time's up. So now I'm going to open the chat box so that you can type in your answers. So type in your answers now. I will be closing it later on.
Hindi ko alam sagot, Chair. Kaka-join ko lang.
Okay, Leonard already sent his answer. Waiting for the other students. Gian also sent his answer. Okay, so I'm waiting for Reynald and Ayana and Danstan to send their answers.
Chair, sorry. My keyboard is lagging.
It's fine. So I'm still waiting for Ayana and Reynald. Okay, Reynald also sent his answer. So last na si Ayana. Okay, now I will be closing the chat box. Let's compute. Okay, so again, our given is the distance, which is 7 meters. We are also given the time, which is already 115 seconds. So this time, hindi nyo na kailangang mag-convert from minute to seconds kasi ang given na niya ay exactly seconds. So you can go directly to our equation of speed, which is distance divided by time. So 7 meters divided by 115 seconds. Our final answer is 7 divided by 115, 0.60 meter per seconds or 0.61 meter per
Chair,
second.
na-round up. Na-round up.
Teacher, wala siyang 0.0.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Mine has 0.0.
Yes,
Chair,
sorry.
I know na, Chair. Chair, I know.
Okay, so those who were able to get the final answer correctly, si Ayana, si Reynald, Danstan, Jared, Kadesh. Okay, so nagkamali si Leonard at saka si Kuya Gian. But the rest of the students got it correctly. Okay, so let's have more problems. I will be giving you time ulit to answer this one. So Kelly rode a bus going home. So hindi na siya naglakad, siya na ay nagbus. If the distance from the bus stop to her home is 600 meters and her speed is 3.33 meter per second squared, sorry, it's not how fast the bus is going, but we are looking for the time it took for Kelly to reach her house. So again, I will be giving you 3 minutes to answer this problem. And after 3 minutes, I will open the chat box so that you can type in your answer. Okay?
Teacher, sa science pa lang yung book na naubusan ako ng pages.
Ala, Chair. Hindi
Okay.
ko alam po, Chair.
I will get my charger first. 3 minutes starts now.
I don't know this. Kaka-join ko
May
lang.
modular book na ba? Saan
Wala.
nakalagay?
Tinuruan ba sa inyo kung anong isa kunwari, di ba?
Yes.
Tinuro sa amin yung computation.
You're
Yeah.
echoing.
Yan. Time pala hinahanap. Try ko nga ito.
Kakalculate na kami.
Ito times ba yung meters tsaka yung meter ay yung 3.3 ay 33?
May
Ito
shared
times
ano
ba
ba?
yan?
May shared screen ba si teacher?
Nobody knows.
No? Hindi yan, ito times.
Siguro.
I think actually
Oo yata.
tell you the answer. Yeah, I actually think I'm not sure really.
Nung trinay ko, divide yung 600 meters tsaka 3.33, ito yung sagot.
Nice.
But parang, parehas lang yung talaga yung sagot. Parehas yung sagot. Joke lang.
Alam ko na yung sagot.
Type mga sa chat box, tingnan natin kung tama.
Naka-off.
It's turned off.
Yeah. Wait lang. I-divide ba yung 600 meters tsaka 3.33 meters?
Ay, magtanong ka kay Teacher Ivy.
Kaka-join ko lang eh. That's bad.
Less than 1 minute. Let's finalize our answers. And then I will open the chat box so that you can type your answers. Okay, finalize.
Try i-divide by 600 meters tsaka 3.33 meters po.
Kuya Yuri, makinig ka na lang muna sa magiging discussion because you just joined.
Sige po, Chair.
Less than a minute, everyone. Okay, time's up. Now I will open the chat box. Please type in your answers. Double check your answers. Huwag nagmamadali. Double check. So Gian already sent his answer. How about the other students?
Time yung hinahanap.
Time.
Okay, so meron lang sagot si Gian, si Leonard, si Kadesh, si Reynald, si Danstan. I'm waiting for the others.
No unit dance.
Oh, sorry.
Danstan, lagi ka nilang nire-remind sa unit.
Alam, 9 pala yun.
Okay, si Ayana also sent her answer. James Jared also sent his answer. So now let's try to come up with the final answer for this one. Let me just close the meeting. Let's close the chat box. Okay. So this time we are looking for the time given yung kanyang speed, which is 3.33 meters per second. Given din yung 600 meters, which is the distance, ang wala ay yung ating time. So we are going to multiply it with x. So it's 3.33, nandito yung x pa ha, meter per second is equivalent to 600 meters. So in order to come up with the value of x, we are going to divide this with 3.33, 3.33. So x now is equivalent to 600 meters divided by 3.33 meter per second squared. So cancel yung meter dito, automatic, ang unit natin ay seconds. So now it's 600 divided by 3.33. We came up with 180.18 seconds. So who got
May
the
iba sa char.
Nasama yung calcio ko, Char. Trinay ko yung i-divide yung 3.33 sa 600. 180.180 sagot
Okay,
ko.
so who got it correctly? Leonard! Eugene
Nice one,
did not
Leonard.
get it correctly.
Bravo! Ang galing!
Bravo!
And also, Gian got it
Che,
correct.
pero mali po yung unit ko po.
Mali
Mali po yung
yung
unit.
unit ni Gian. Okay. Actually, mali rin yung unit ni Leonard. So, parehong meter per second yung unit na binigay ni Gian at saka ni Leonard. But they come up with the same, with the correct value, which is 180.18 seconds. Okay? Last na to, please compute for Kelly's total distance and of course, her average speed. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to come up with Kelly's total distance and of course, her average speed. Your 2 minutes starts now. Less than a minute left. Finalize your answers. Okay, so now I will open the chat box. So you can type in your answer. First, distance muna. What is Kelly's total distance traveled? May sinend na si Leonard, pero distance muna tayo. Type in the distance. Okay, so si Kadesh already sent his. Okay, how about Ayana and Gian? I'm waiting for your final answer. Okay. So let's add up the distance that was traveled by Kelly. The first one is from the park. They went to the gift shop, which is 7 meters. And then from the gift shop, diba, um,
7 meters.
from the gift shop, Kelly went to the bus stop, which is, lubot oy magsulat. Mm. The second one is from the gift shop going to the bus stop, so that's another 7 meters. But ayaw na magsulat. Okay, and then another 7 meters. And then from the bus stop, going to her house, that's 600 meters. So the total distance is
614 meters.
meters. Okay, so now let's talk about the average speed. What is the first speed, the second speed, and the third speed? Again, I'm giving you 1 minute to write down your answers here sa chat box natin. Your 1 minute starts now. Write down your answers. Do you need to compute pa? So that I can give you more time? Okay, so meron ng sagot si Jared. Pero Jared, wrong unit to ha. I'm looking for the average speed. Your unit is in seconds. So pa-double check ako ng answer. The same with Gian. Gian, you gave me an answer with a unit of seconds. But I am looking for the average speed.
Kaya alam ko yung answer. Nire-recheck ko lang.
So, pa-double check ako ng inyong mga answers kung tama yung value, kung tama yung unit. Oh, accidentally sent lang daw, sabi ni Jared.
Teacher, dalawa yung answers, di ba? Kasi may na round off tapos may hindi na round off. Kinuha ko po siya yung na round off ata.
Okay lang. Ala, Kuya Gian, it's the same. You sent me seconds pa din.
Meter per seconds, yung M/S.
Time yan. Sige na, pakisend na yung inyong mga sagot so we can check for the average speed. Okay, so Kadesh already sent his answer. How about the other students? Let's double check your answer. Type in so that we can check. Reynald, Jared, Ayana.
Teka lang, check ko ulit.
Okay. Okay, so Reynald also sent his. How about Ayana and Jared, if you will be correcting your answers? The same with Gian and Leonard, if you will be correcting your answers. Now is your final chance to correct your answers. Last 1 minute, and then I will be closing the chat box.
Teka,
Si Jared left.
It's okay, he can rejoin. Okay, I'm going to close now.
Sure. Nawala daw po yung internet connection po ni Jared.
It's okay, matatapos na rin yung aking class. Okay, so closing. There, it's already closed. Let's compute. So for the first speed, we came up with 0.038 meters per second. Or
Lecture 39 ginamit ko, Chair. Baka may onting upsi-dapsi lang yung akin, Chair. Baka mas mataas lang na onte.
And then for the second speed, from the gift shop going to the bus stop, we came up with
0.060 or 61.
60 or 0.061 meters per second. And then the last one is 3.33 meter per second. So the final answer is, if I'm going to use the one that's not rounded off, it's 3.428 meter per second. If I'm going to use the one that is already rounded off,
3.43, Chair.
3.43 meter per second. So basically, round off lang.
Divided by 3, Chair, di ba? Para makuha.
Okay? So that's 3.43. Nakuha na natin yung total na amount of speed. So now we're going to divide it with 3. So the final answer is, so this one will be divided by 3 kasi tatlo yung speed natin na binigay. So the final answer is 1.14 meter per second.
Yay!
So 1.14 meter per second. So who got it correctly? Kadesh Shalom got it correctly.
I think yung ginawa nila, Chair, inad nila yung 180.180.
I lost connection few moments ago. I did not understand what just happened.
Ano yung 180, 180?
Yung sa Holy, Chair, yung number 3, yun yung ginamit nila.
But that is the time we are looking for the average speed. So you
Kaya
have
ako
to
nagulit, Chair, kasi
careful on which values you are looking for. Okay. Again, we are looking for the average speed. So I need to add all the 3 speed coming from the park going to the gift shop, which is the first speed. Second speed is from the gift shop going to the bus stop, which is the second speed. And the third one is from the bus stop going home. Okay? So wag tayong malilito when it comes to the values that we are using. Okay? So always double check your answers. So now we have come to the last 5 minutes of our class. So this is to answer our essential question, which is, what is speed and how do we measure speed? Anyone would like to share their answers to the class? What is speed? What is your understanding of what is speed?
Speed talks about how fast the object is moving.
Okay, so how fast an object is moving, and we measure the fastness of an object in terms of the time it takes to cover that distance. Okay, so it's not just the distance in itself. So mas maraming distance sa pinaka-konting posibleng oras, then that's how we measure speed or the idea of how fast an object is moving. Yes, Kuya Reynald, would you like to add some ideas? You raised your hand.
Speed is based on the numbers of kilometers that you are moving.
Is it just based on the number of kilometers?
Sure, even miles per hour or meters per second.
Okay, so importante yung per second doon. Kasi we are not just measuring in terms of how many mileages you have traveled. It doesn't matter if you covered a lot of distance, but if you did it using a lot of time, then you are not going fast. So if you will remember, si Edmond, di ba, napakabagal niya. Kasi it took him a lot of time to reach yung destination niya. So hindi lang tayo nagbabase sa kilometers or sa miles. We are talking about per second. So merong always value ng time. Okay? How soon did you arrive doon sa final destination mo? And how much distance you covered. Okay? Kadesh, anything else to add? You raised your hand.
Wala na siya, nasabi ni Reynald. Yun lang din sasabihin ko.
Sabi na. So, yun ha, laging tatandaan. The kilometers is not the only factor that's important. We are talking about time as well. So, if you really want to go fast, it means that you have to cover a lot of distance in the shortest amount of time possible. Kaya when you watch yung mga competition na pabilisan ng takbo, di ba? Iisa yung distance na kailangan nilang i-travel.
Marathon.
The start to the finish line. Pero paano natin mini-measure kung sino yung mananalo? Kung sino yung pinakaunang makarating doon sa finish line? Because we are talking about the idea or the concept of time here na kailangan mabilis mong makover yung distance na yon. So it doesn't matter if you covered a lot of distance, if you took a lot of time to do it, then you are not going fast. Okay, now let's try to answer the second essential question. How do we measure or how do we compute for the value of speed? Yes, Kadesh.
By dividing the distance to time.
Okay, so we have to divide distance with time. And what is our unit for speed?
Meter per second.
Meter per second. What is our unit for distance?
Ako na lang, sir.
Sige.
Meters.
Meters. And what is our unit for time?
Seconds.
Seconds. Okay. So the things that you have to remember about speed, number one, double check if your time is given in terms of unit. Kung naka-minutes siya, it has to be converted to seconds first. So that's the first thing that you have to look for, kung yung time ba ay naka-minutes or naka-seconds na. Next, you have to double check your units. Okay? For example, I'm looking for the average speed, pero yung mga sagot ay may mga nagsagot ng in terms of seconds. Kanina, ang tanong ko naman ay time. Tama sana yung value, pero mali yung naging unit kasi ang binigay na unit ay yung meter per second. So I think those are common mistakes that we observed for today, yung ating conversion into seconds at saka syempre yung unit na ginagamit. Okay, so thank you so much for joining our class today. Next week, we will continue our discussion and learn all about velocity. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa speed. Next week, we will learn all about velocity. If you want to start answering your module about speed, then that's okay. Tapos i-leave blank nyo na lang yung questions that is for velocity. Pero if you think you're confident and you can answer velocity as well, you can start and then next week, you can double check kung tama yung naging computation nyo or hindi. Yes, Gian, you raised your hand, Kuya.
Sir, are you going to send the recordings?
I will send the recordings to those who are present today. Yes.
Sir, via ano, sir, Messenger or Google, Gmail?
Via Gmail na lang po.
Sa Gmail po ng school?
Yes po, yung personal school Gmail ninyo, I will be sending a copy of the recording.
Sir, yung ano ba po,
Teacher, may classroom na po ba tayo?
Wala
Para-
pa po, but I will be sending the code siguro by today or by tomorrow.
Para kasi, Chair, pag nag-click sila sa Messenger kasi, Chair, may sarili siyang browser. Kaya
Yes.
naglalag sila.
Yes po. I will be doing the classroom today or tomorrow. And then I will be giving you the codes to those Google Classrooms today or tomorrow. Pinaka-late na yung tomorrow. Okay, any other questions?
Sir, masusundan pa ba po ng link, sir?
Ano daw, Kuya Yuri?
Sir, masusundan pa ba po ng recording, sir?
Yes po. Pero
Salamat,
doon
sir.
po sa school email. Okay? Any other questions? None? Okay, sige. Siguro for now, pa-review ulit ako ng displacement kasi next week, ang topic natin ay velocity. Ang kailangan natin ay displacement and time. So, in preparation for that, if you are having difficulty with the computation for displacement, pa-review na ako ng topic ng displacement. Okay, so I'll be sending sharing the recorded video sa inyong mga emails later on. Siguro after lunch ko na i-share. Yes, Yuri?
Sir, di ba may ano ba, sir? Pag sa example, magano ka ng displacement, sir, di ba may x2 tsaka y2 yun, sir?
Yes
pag,
po.
Pag nagkakalkyo ako, sir, invalid format, sir. So, hindi ako makakuha ng tamang sagot. Sir.
If hindi nag-invalid format yon, x squared means you multiply x by itself. So, kung ang value ng x ay 9, 9 squared, it means 9 multiplied by 9. 9 times 9. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng x squared. So, kung nagkakaroon ng problem sa calculator mo, Kuya Yuri, magmano-mano ka 9 times 9. Kung ang value ng y ay 11, 11 times 11. Yun yung
Sir, pag kunwari, x2, yung, sir, x, ang pagsabihin sa x, sir, is 2. So, 2, parang 2 times 2, sir.
Yes.
Sige po, sir. Salamat po.
Okay, sige. Thank you.
Ang sa math, yung exponent.
Thank you for joining our class today and I will see
Ang
you.
ganda din, di tayo nag-end.
Google Meet, yes. Wala nang end-end. Okay, see you next week, guys. Thank you for
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for the class.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, sir. God bless you po.
Bye. Yay. Bye po.